Now, a school teacher from Bournemouth riding 3,500 miles on his bike across Canada. John Dwyer is raising money for the Rob Gauntlet Trust, which was set up in the memory of his friend who died in January. He left for Canada earlier in the month. He's one of our Julian's people, and we're following his story on the air, and he's back on the line this morning with an update. John, hello.
Good morning, Julian.
And quick time check, what time is it now in Canada?
It's about 12:30 at night out here, but it sounds like it's probably warmer here, even in the middle of the night, than it is there during the day at the moment.
So what's the weather been like?
It's been very hot, actually. Hot cycling, 30, 35 degrees most days, and not a cloud in the sky generally.
Superb. So just go take us through this trip, John. How far are you through so far?
So far, about a third of the way through. I've cycled 1,050 miles from Vancouver on the Pacific coast to the middle of the prairies, basically, in a place called Regina.
Superb.
So I've still got quite a way to go.
Yeah, I can believe it. And John, was this your own idea, or were you inspired by someone else?
Well, yeah, I spent 6 months of last year with Rob Gauntlet and his friend James Hooper, and I supported them on part of their pole-to-pole trip. They were away for 13 months, and they actually travelled 26,000 miles from the north of Greenland to the magnetic South Pole. And I suppose I was inspired by their heroics on that journey, and it kind of inspired me to have a go at doing a big bike ride of my own.
And tell us a bit more about Rob.
Rob was just a fantastic guy. He was very, very driven, but he was also a really humble fella. He died just at the age of 21, and really he was someone who had so much to offer. It was really sad that he lost his life in a climbing accident out in Chamonix. But I suppose he was most well known for being the youngest Brit to summit Mount Everest, and he was only 19 when he achieved that.
And you're raising money for his trust, and where's the money going to, John?
Well, basically, Rob always talked about being in a position to put something back and maybe help other young people out with their expeditions and their goals. So this is just a way of Rob's spirit living on. And the way it works is young people will be able to put in an application to the Rob Gauntlet Trust and get a bit of financial support to make their dreams possible. Might not be climbing Everest, but whatever their goals are.
It's a lovely idea.
Help young people out.
Yeah, lovely idea. So John, this cycle ride, as we've discovered with other people who've done cycle rides, sometimes it's not just the cycling that's the problem. It's sorting out where you're going to stay, the logistics. Do you have a backup vehicle? All these kind of things. Take us through that. Are you on your own, or have you got someone with you?
Well, I have been by myself, actually. I've done 13 days cycling and covered over 1,000 miles. I've had 2 rest days in that time. But I have crossed the biggest mountain range in North America, and I've passed some pretty huge peaks along the way. I've been carrying a little trailer behind me with my tent and sleeping bag and all my equipment. And to be honest, my legs are pretty well shattered now. I'm really enjoying a few days' rest.
I can believe it.
Enjoying some good food and a few beers.
And when are you going to reach your destination?
Well, I'm hoping to finish this journey in the middle of September in Halifax in Nova Scotia. So I haven't strictly finished until I dip my toe into the Atlantic, right on the other side of Canada.
And the teaching bit, I mentioned obviously the day job is school teaching. Where are you a school teacher?
Well, I've worked for the last year at Talbot Heath Girls' School in Bournemouth. And I had a great year there. It was very different for me working in an all-girls school, but I had a great year. It was good fun.
And what about the next educational year? What's the plans for that?
Yeah, I've got a slightly different job lined up. I'm quite into my sort of travel, and this one involves a bit of travel and a bit of teaching. So I'm actually teaching 3 kids who are sailing around the world with their mum and dad. So I'm teaching on a yacht on a 22-month circumnavigation of the world. It'll be pretty different 2 years, I think.
What an extraordinary story. So that's a story in itself, John. So you're going to be doing basically out-of-school education on board a boat for nearly 2 years.
Yeah, I've got the responsibility of keeping the academic side of things ticking over for three kids. They're age 8, 9, and 11, and I've got to teach them not just geography, which is my subject in school, but maths and science and whatever I can do for them whilst we're at sea.
I can hear teachers everywhere who are on their summer holidays now going, how do you get a job like that?
I heard a bit on your show about the chap who got the dream job in an island out in Australia.
Yeah.
But I think this one gets pretty close to that. It's not too bad sailing the seas and seeing some quite far off, remote places along the way.
John, I think, I reckon after the Canadian trip's over, we've got to keep in touch because that's a very unusual story in itself. So with your permission, we'll continue to follow your story over those months because it's going to be amazing. I'd
like to keep you posted. I'm sure there'll be a few ups and downs along the way, being at sea for so long.
Yeah, okay, good stuff. Well, look, John, we're going to talk some more, obviously, over the next few weeks and indeed months as we follow the Canadian part of your story. If people want to get in touch and help raise money for the Rob Gauntlet Trust, how do they do that?
Yeah, well, it's a super cause. If people can log on to, I've got a bit of a website with a blog going. The site is www.canadacoasttocoast, that's the number 2, .weebly.com.
So Weebly is WEEBLY, yes?
That's right, yeah. It's a sort of web design company.
Okay.
So it's canadacoasttocoast.weebly.com.
Right, so to get in touch with John and help raise money for that good cause as well. John, we'll talk some more as your journey continues. Good luck and, keep on track.
Thanks a lot. I'll give you a call in another 1,000 miles and see if I'm still coping with this journey.
Love it. John Dwyer, live from Canada this morning, and it is morning there because it's after midnight now. And that website again to help John and to get in touch with him and read his blog as well, Canada Coast 2, number 2, coast.weebly.com. And then when he's done that, travel team, how's that for a job? He goes off on a...
This is extraordinary.
Yeah, that's more extraordinary than the bike ride, don't worry.
I think it is,
A 2-year round-the-world cruise on a yacht with these 3 children. There's a movie in there, isn't there? There has to be. So John will continue to be a Julian's person after he's done his cycle ride, and he continues to do this amazing trip around the world. Which makes me, if you're listening, by the way, and you've got an unusual job, and that has to rank as one of the more unusual we've ever heard of, do let me know, because we love to follow things like that on the air. Get in touch in the normal ways, and we'll talk.